At 7:41 a.m. in Tromsø, Norway, a teenager walks out of a dark cinema into snow-bright sun and sneezes. Twice. Her nose is empty. It was clean 5 seconds ago. At the exact same hour in Arizona, a man breathes winter air that is 40 degrees colder than his hallway and sneezes for the same reason. That reason has a name. It fires in your head before you feel it. You will not hear it until the last 2 minutes of this film. A sneeze looks like a nose problem. It is not. Picture this. Dust lands on the lining of your nose. That lining is alive with free nerve endings. They are hairs thinner than a human hair, waiting. One speck brushes them. They fire. The signal races along the trigeminal nerve. That is the thick cable that carries feeling from your face to your brainstem. It hits a patch the size of a grain of rice, the sneeze-evoking region. Before you decide anything, your body takes over. If you like these kinds of inside-your-body explanations, subscribe. We make one each week. Now hold that signal in your head. We will follow it to the explosion. The easy story is simple. Your nose is a filter. Dust gets in. Your nose blows it out. Done. That story feels right. It even explains pepper. Pepper contains piperine. That chemical irritates the lining, so you sneeze. It explains allergies. Histamine makes the lining swell, so you sneeze. It explains colds. Viruses make mucus, so you sneeze. Go back to that girl in Tromsø. Go back to the man in Arizona. The easy story fails both. There was no dust in the sun. There was no pepper in cold air. Light cannot tickle your nose. Cold cannot carry pollen. Yet they sneezed anyway. So the nose-push story is neat, and it is wrong. You will say, come on. If it is not the nose pushing, what is it? The ruder version is, if sneezing is so useful, why does it fire at nothing? Good question. Let's break it. Take this one case. A mouse breathes capsaicin. The same burn you feel from chili. Its nose tingles. But the sneeze does not start in the nose. Follow the wire. The trigeminal nerve has 2 branches in the nose. The ophthalmic branch up top, the maxillary branch below. Both end in naked C-fiber endings. They sense acid, heat, touch. They fire together. The pulse travels to the brainstem. Not to your thinking brain, to the ventromedial spinal trigeminal nucleus. Think of it as a switchboard the size of a lentil. It sits in the medulla. It also sits next to the breathing circuits. That proximity matters. The switchboard talks to another knot. The sneeze-evoking region. That region stretches from pons to medulla. It takes the whisper and turns it into a shout. It tells glands to flood. It tells blood vessels to leak. It primes the whole chest. Here is the piece we hid. For years we thought the nose shouted with glutamate, the common fast signal. It does not. The team that proved it deleted one molecule and sneezes vanished. The St. Louis lab that screens nose neurons for their secret messenger, Chin-Lu, found the real carrier. It is neuromedin B, NMB, small, 10 amino acids. It spills from those C fibers straight onto that brainstem switchboard. Her mice lacked the NMB receptor. They breathed the same irritants. Their noses fired. Their brains stayed silent. No sneeze. Put the receptor back. Sneezes return. That tells you this is not a voluntary cough. It is a peptidergic reflex. One peptide decides. Now add it up. Irritant touches ending. Ending releases NMB. NMB hits NMB receptor cells in that sneeze region. Those cells flip the master sequence. Deep breath in. Glottis snaps shut. Chest pressure spikes. Then release. Now stand back. Why so many triggers? Dust and pollen scratch the ends. That is mechanical. Pepper is chemical. Piperine from black pepper, Piper nigrum, binds those same C fibers and tricks them into thinking there is heat. Viruses do it differently. They infect the lining. The lining makes histamine. Histamine lowers the firing threshold. So a speck that would not matter yesterday matters today. Strong smells like perfume do the same through crosstalk in the nasal nerves. Cold air is physics. The nose warms air. Cold air cools the mucus. Cooling fires the cold sensors. Those sensors share fibers with the sneeze circuit. So you sneeze at a doorway in January. None of this needs your permission. The system is built to err on the side of blowing out. One false sneeze is cheap. One missed virus is expensive. Picture the spray. In a single sneeze you push up to 40,000 droplets. Not just spittle, a warm, wet cloud. Picture a bedroom at 2:30 a.m. The house is dark. Your nose is congested. Mucus is pooled. By day you would have sneezed 10 times. Now you do not. Breathe. Listen. Nothing. The reason is not that irritants left. It is that you left. During REM sleep, your muscles go limp. Atonia. The brain cuts the cord between command and chest. Even outside REM, the trigeminal motor neurons are damped. They whisper instead of shout. If the itch gets loud enough, you wake first. Then you sneeze awake. That is why colds feel worse at dawn. Allergies too. The backlog waits. Eyes. Why do they close? Most people shut them hard. It is an autonomic reflex. The brain sends the blast order to the diaphragm, the ribs, the throat, and it also sends a side order to the orbicularis muscles around the eyes. It is not to keep your eyeballs in. An allergist in Texas who tested it says you can sneeze with eyes open if you try. Most do not. It just fires together. Closing is cheap protection. Open would risk spray back into tears. Go back to the sun. 1 in 3 people sneeze when they step from dim to bright light. Not at the light, at the change. That is the photic sneeze reflex. ACHOO syndrome. Autosomal dominant compelling helioophthalmic outburst. The acronym is a joke from 1978. The trait is not. If one parent has it, your chance is about 50%. Studies find it in 18 to 35% of people, depending how you ask. Why? The optic nerve fires hard when light floods the retina. That signal leaks. The trigeminal nucleus sits close to the optic pathway. Summation happens. Bright light adds to a low-level nasal itch that was already there but below threshold. Together they cross the line. The engineer who filmed the cloud to prove it travels farther than we thought. Lydia Bourouiba showed that sneezes are not a spray of separate balls. They are a turbulent, buoyant cloud. Warm, wet air that carries droplets together 7 to 8 meters, 23 to 27 feet, and keeps them up for minutes. How fast? You have heard 100 miles per hour. That number comes from one man. The mid-century biologist who guessed speed from droplet size without ever measuring it, William Firth Wells, inferred 100 meters per second, about 224 miles per hour. High-speed cameras later found much less. Particles move about 14 meters per second, around 30 miles per hour. Mucous ligaments can hit 35 meters per second, near 80. Still fast, but not a hurricane. Does your heart stop? No. Pressure in your chest spikes when you inhale, then sneeze. That squeezes venous return. Your vagus nerve also fires and briefly slows the pacemaker. It feels like a skip. It is not a stop. Why twice? One sneeze rarely clears it. Histamine keeps the threshold low, so the same spec fires the circuit again. And do not pinch it. In 2018, a 34-year-old man in Leicester pinched his nose and closed his mouth to stifle a sneeze. The air had nowhere to go. It ripped his pharynx and forced bubbles into his neck. He could not swallow. He spent a week in hospital. So take last night. You walked from a cold hall into a warm kitchen, sniffed pepper, sneezed 3 times, eyes shut, chest heaving, heart thudding, then nothing. That was NMB talking to a knot the size of rice. That was your trigeminal nerve mistaking light for touch. That was your cloud hanging in the room for 10 minutes while you left. We can now block NMB in a mouse and stop a sneeze entirely. We have not done it in a person. Should we? If we could switch off sneezing for allergy season, we would also switch off the one reflex that clears viruses before you feel sick. Think what that means. A daily pill that silences NMB would let you sit through a pepper factory in a pollen storm without a twitch. It would also let a cold virus sit longer in your nose. It would keep that warm bowl of mucus where viruses double. The lab work points to a trade. Block the peptide and you block transmission. Keep the peptide and you keep sneezing. Which is worse? We do not yet know how to split the two. The same cells that expel dust also expel flu. And the same leak that lets sun waste a sneeze may be the price of having face nerves packed that tight. Packing saves space. It saves weight. It also creates crosstalk. Evolution kept it. The question at the end is not why you sneeze. It is whether you would pay to never sneeze again, knowing what you turn off to do it.